Hello. This has changed a little bit since the last time I did this. Mike. Yvonne. Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm just looking. I'm just waiting. There are a lot of people, wow. 30, 34, 35 people. That's more than I thought would happen. Sorry for the short notice. I know I'm very excited for tomorrow too, Yvonne. Stoked! I'll give it a few more seconds and I'll tell you what I'm doing. Why this is happening. I'm good, thank you. You guys can hear me all right? If anybody can hear me, just say yes. All right, Anger said yes. Perfect. Wow. Oh my God, it's almost at 50. Okay, I'm just gonna wait a little longer then. Let me look at this thing. What are these buttons? Is this a filter? Of course it is. Pictures. Cool. Just keeps going up. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. I know it was short notice. I kind of woke up this morning and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, look, it's Alex. Yay. Alex wrote the music for the film, everybody, so go check him out. He just waved at him. AD Rhodes compositions. He's badass. But yeah, okay, so I got up this morning and I realized that obviously the movie's coming out tomorrow, and that's super exciting. But there's a lot of stuff that went into it, and one of them that nobody saw coming was a pandemic, so I thought I'd sit down with you guys and let you know what's up. And just kind of, I started writing kind of like a piece on making the movie and doing like a self-analysis on indie movie making. And I realized that there's a lot to say. So I wanted to read you guys an excerpt from what I had written and tell you guys what this movie really is about so that we can all be on the same page. And yeah, thanks for coming. So first of all, thank you. I don't know how many people here are contributors for the Indiegogo campaign. I know at least 3 or 4 are here, and that's amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the movie. It's been a long time coming. If you are here, just say something. Like if you did contribute to the movie, just say something, and I'll do my best to speak, read, and catch comments. But yeah, so it's been about 3 years since I started this project, and I didn't realize until I started writing this essay that I'm about to read something from that and I saw the final draft of the film that I realized, like, oh my God, that's me, which is scary and also awesome, and I'm excited to share it with you. Yvonne is one of the executive producers on the film. She gave so much money. So is Razzle Joy, and I'm trying to remember the names. It's been a while. But, oh, this is so cool. Definitely didn't expect this many people. Okay, but yeah, I realized that a lot of myself is in this thing, and watching the final cut and preparing it for exhibition, I realized, yes, it will be on the YouTube channel. I realized that there's a lot of my struggle in there, which is probably why everything worked out the way it did, the good and the bad. Okay, so yeah, let's start. I began working on my short film adaptation of Stephen King's poem Paranoid a Chant More so in 2017, but I started writing it in 2018. I was listening to Skeleton Crew, so I heard Will Patton's expression of a story, and I think if I had read it versus hearing it, I probably would have had the same response, but something about the, yes, 3 years, something about the presentation was incredible, and it resonated with me. I wouldn't realize until, now, just exactly why. But I did complete the audiobook in 2018, which, it's pretty long. It's like 24 hours for Skeleton Crew. And I had already thought about doing the film. I'd already thought about adapting it. But I didn't know what I wanted to do because I was still in college, and college is very difficult to do. So I picked one over the other. I did do work in that time, but it wasn't this. And at the time, when I decided to do this, when I decided to start writing it, I was finishing up my final semester at the University of Arizona with a degree, a bachelor's in music business, which I don't even know if I actually participated in that. I can't seem to find that degree anywhere, but meaning on the website for the school and otherwise, we're not really friends. But at the time, I was also attempting to deal with my father's death, which most of you are aware of. And in my free time, before this and during this time of struggle, I was consuming everything and anything that was Stephen King. I fell in love with his stories on such a fundamental level. I actually did the math, and I have read 21 novels and 11 short fiction compilations, which is an absurd amount of reading, and it is kind of obsessive, but that's what happens when you have a life like mine. I get obsessive about things, and I dive as deep as possible, and so by all accounts, I am a definition constant reader. I've fallen in love with his epic tales of generational horror and adversity, like in It or The Green Mile, which The Green Mile is the only book I've ever read that made me cry. The Outsider, which is an excellent book about confronting modern fear and being the vanguard for the good and destroying all evil. And but also it's not all mystical. And his real-to-life depictions of the human experience in novels like Joyland, Dolores Claiborne, and Hearts in Atlantis, which is almost made me cry, but it's definitely one of my favorite books of all time. They're so unique because they understand the human struggle, and I think a lot of people go into Stephen King thinking that he's just an American writer who writes Pulp Fiction novels, and that's not exactly true. He writes about real life and uses the dressing of the novel to make it easier to jump into, because if you're going into something like The Green Mile, which is about slavery and racism in the South, you're probably not going to want to read it if you just knew that's what it was about. Instead, you would want to know that this guy can, he has a mystical connection. I won't spoil that for you, but there's an excellent movie made with the same title. And if you like reading, read the book. It's been out for a long time, 1996. So, but yes, many tend to see his work as mainstream and spectacular. Scary stories to be told in the dark of a movie theater or late at night in the form of remixed television. And that's great, but the core of Stephen's work is, mental illness. It's about what drives us as a society. Well, that was hard to say. As a society, and the kind of murky things that rest just under the surface, the things that we try to cover up. And when you look at it through that lens, you see stories like It, really aren't different from stories like The Green Mile, and they're definitely not different from modern life or any normal day in anybody's life. In fact, I would say that none of his work has ever been about spectacle, and that holds true for novels even like Cell. which is a bit campy, but it's a very real story about the dangers of the modern age and communication. Instead, the spectacle is a voice for the zeitgeist of American pain and American pleasure. And this is the sentiment that fueled my motivation for A Chant and has since fueled all of my other work. Using these more extravagant trappings to express real life things in ways that are more digestible to people, maybe even going through them or not going through them, showing people things they've never seen before, or showing them things they have in ways that they haven't. And that really is the tenet of my work, is understanding social distress, mental distress, the causes of them, and how to explain that, how to help people move through that, and in my own way, which this is one of my own ways. Now, A Chant, it has faced many obstacles in its journey to life. At one point, it had a different cast and different production crews, so it has 2 separate casts and 2 production crews. There are roughly 10 versions of the script. There was a stringent shooting schedule and a very tiny budget. We made about $7,800, and I managed to put in about $1,200 of my own, and my director of photography, River Dempson, was very generous. His entire family was very generous with providing funds for the Airbnb that we used as a second base when we were shooting some of our stuff in Sedona. For the equipment, I would not have been able to make any of this without these people who are good-willed in nature. And but $7,000 to $8,000 is almost nothing to make a movie on, and that proved to be exceptionally difficult. We did not have a sound crew at all. We did not have any official electrical or lighting, so we did everything on the spot, and that was exceptionally difficult. And I learned a lot of lessons about what to do and what not to do in cases of making small films. But to add to these difficulties, I had to schedule across the country for the score, for coordinating travel for the actors, and for anything with the production. And we have somebody, Alex in Ohio, we have people in California, I'm in Arizona. And so it was kind of a big deal. And that was definitely not to the benefit of making the film. It was definitely a disadvantage. A lot of these departments you would typically have in film were helmed by one person. So, and that was me, or in the case of cinematography, it was River Dempson. In the case of the score, it was Alex. And of course, in all these aspects, we worked together. But where you would typically have, a number of people doing these jobs, it really wasn't the case with this production. There were only like 3 people doing all of the work when it came to organizing department needs and facilitating the execution of those needs in a timely fashion. Marisa Blair is our set designer. I don't know if she's on here with us, but she handled that on the fly within like a month, and then just kind of, had to deal with it. And that was incredibly difficult. So everybody involved had incredible struggle. I had to rewrite a number of an act of the script like the night before we shot it, because a lot of our production fell apart the day before. The film spent 12 months in post-production, because there was only one person in control of post-production. And he was on here. I don't know if he still is, but that was Mike Thompson or Michael Bruce, whichever name he'd like to go by. And that is an angelic thing to do, but it's an incredibly difficult thing to do, especially to spend 12 months there. We had 4 editors. There was the falling out of really good friends, a global pandemic, excruciating episodes of personal growth. I'm sure for everybody involved. I wasn't always involved with everybody, but there he is, M.B. Thompson. He's the one who made it possible to see this thing tomorrow. There were any number of production errors, as I mentioned, because we really did not go about it in the way that we could have, thanks to a pandemic. So, nonetheless, it has persisted, and for good reason. It's because a chant is not it's not a fun project. It is a fun project in the sense that we all had a good time, but it's not purely for the sake of having fun. The idea of a chant was to use the source material and my own experience with mental health to create an experience for the audience wherein they could have discussions on their mental health, how it affects either them or the people around them. And it's also the beginning of my steps to change the way we view mental health, the way we view mental illness and our relationship to it. This is not the last thing I'll be making. So it's really important to me. It was really important to me, and it is now, that a chant was never about the spectacle. It was never about the big name attached to it, which this person doesn't even know they're attached to it, Stephen King, of course. It was about telling a very real thing in as real of a way as possible. And yes, there is some spectacle, but it's not spectacular. So that's where I'll jump off and say that most of, and I didn't realize this until I watched it and put it up on for the premiere on YouTube, but so much of my struggle with mental illness was put into this film. And it was kind of not scary. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm putting that out there. But it was like a kind of an eye-opening moment where I was surprised to see that not only had I depicted actual things that I go through when I have my episodes, but to see somebody else do it, it felt very odd. I felt like kind of weird about it because, there's something about, the lead actor, of course, inhabiting the character, but when the character happens to be you, then the feelings for it and expectations for it kind of shift. And luckily, I didn't come to this realization in the editing process because I just saw it as a film, something we were putting together. But it is very much me. And I want to thank Austin Gold, the lead for the film, for embodying that. I don't think he's on here right now, but if he does show up, or if he is here, he should say something. But he really did dive into me and my struggle. And he didn't know he was doing that, and I didn't know he was doing that. But to see it come to life and see it done in this way is exceptionally surreal and gratifying. I am incredibly grateful for everybody's participation, for all of you being here now. And Tiana. I love Tiana. Tiana's awesome. But yes, this story is my struggle. So from my perspective, I see my art as taking the opportunity to take a stand and to voice certain things. And I encourage people to tell their stories and, be honest with their experience. But of course, the caveat is that why do I have to be honest if you're not going to be honest? So not only did I want to come and talk to you guys about the film, but I also wanted to come and tell you about my experience with mental health, what I'm going through, what I have been going through my entire life, and talk about kind of the, not the starting point, but where a lot of the influence for a chant comes from. So yeah, I'm going to share my story with you. I was 23 years old when my dad had passed. I was in my last year at the University of Arizona. And I've always struggled with panic and anxiety and compulsion and things of that nature, delusions, sometimes hallucinations. But I never knew what was going on. And honestly, most of the time when I was going through it, obviously I didn't know. And I didn't know who to ask because nobody was talking to me about it or explaining it to me. I just thought I was having bad days, and I was being told that. Most of my life I've had behavioral issues, and I always thought, yeah, well, it must be me that's the problem, and that's the issue, right? Is that you start to believe that you are the problem. But when I was 23 and my dad passed away, I realized very quickly that there was something more at play than just a bad day, right? And so I started to think about it, and one of the things I would do is I would get panic attacks, total debilitating shutdown panic attacks that would just sometimes leave me, I don't want to use the word disabled, but I will say disabled in the sense of like having no control and being turned off literally and being at the mercy of something else. I was disabled by these panic attacks constantly. One of the ones I've shared before in other moments like this is that I was in the university library and the main library, and I was doing a philosophy assignment, and for some reason all the questions on this game that we were supposed to be playing were about suicide, and I started having a panic attack. It became so hard to deal with that I actually went to leave, and it was raining, of course, and I rode my bike everywhere. So I got obviously mad about it, and that made it worse. And I ended up curled up in a ball on the floor outside of the library. And this was not that was the most severe incident I had when I was going to college, but it was not the only incident like that. And what happened was I started realizing that a couple of things were off in my life, that I felt nothing and I felt everything, that I was slipping more and more into manic thoughts. I guess kind of frozen is the right word. I see Dawn here just said that, and I agree with that. Because it is like that. You can't do anything. There's nothing you can do except for get violent or angry, and people are more likely to forgive you for laying down on the ground and being quiet than for actually expressing the pain that you're going through in a loud and physical way. I realized that I had no idea what emotional health was, and I had no idea what was going on in here. Because whatever was going on in here was going on in here, and that was a problem because they weren't working out very well. They were not friends. There was no integrating the other. It was one or the other. It was either pain and suffering or nothing at all. And I always described it as a kind of dual personality. I described it as being one person or thinking like one person and feeling like another. And so it became an issue of, well, why do I feel that way? And that's my first introduction to what mental illness is and what mental health is. And so I'm 23 years old. My dad is dead. I have nobody to talk to. Throughout my entire college experience, throughout high school, as a child, I always said that I was in pain. I always said I didn't like being around people. I always said I didn't like this or that. And it was always, well, then you need to get over it because obviously you're not doing something right, which is, not the right way to approach that. none of my parents dealt with their mental illness. I grew up in a family that was just weighed down by drug dependency, alcohol and others, and a lot of emotional codependency. And I don't really know when my struggle started because I don't have anybody who's willing to admit that I had a struggle in the first place. And so when it came to really talking about mental health and really trying to figure myself out, I didn't know what to do. And so what did I do? I thought. And that was at first the hardest thing in the world because that's all I do when I get sick is I think really hard about things and they become delusional things, which is why it's so difficult to break the mold, right? Because you start to believe the things you're thinking even if they're not real. And you think, well, I'm thinking them and I'm feeling them, so of course they have to be real. But that's not true. Because a lot of the things I was feeling and thinking were not actually things that I understood as thinking and feeling. I came to the conclusion that all of my emotions were one emotion, and that they were just a single thing interpreted different ways. I came to the understanding that I had actually, despite the fact that nobody wanted to admit it, had been asking for my entire life for help, and nobody helped me. And that was hard. And basically what I deal with is undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, which is essentially, I always say it this way, and it's not it's not entirely fair because it's a little bit more than that, but it's like an inability to properly interpret social cues. I could think somebody really loves me one second and really enjoys my company, and the next second it's like, oh my God, they fucking hate me. Like, why would they ever care about me? Why would I ever think that anybody ever wanted to be my friend? And that causes a lot of issues with me. When I was younger, I had a lot of what, I'm sure this isn't the politically correct term, but it's the only phrasing I could find, and I was surprised to find that I could find very little actual information on schizophrenia, but schizoid tendencies. I have a history of hallucinations. I have a history of them being visual or audible. I have a history of what could probably be seen as extreme mood shifts or seen as isolating tendencies, things like that. And I had to first understand exactly what was going on with myself before I could do anything about it. And one of the things I came down to, the reasons I was continuing to have these struggles, the reasoning behind why everybody else seems to be having this struggle and not talking about it. And that was the communication around the mental health itself. I was encouraged to go to therapy, but I was never sent to therapy. I was encouraged to speak to my family members about things I was going through. But when I spoke to them, it was, oh, I understand, and paired up with, but you need to deal with that, or get over it. And that is exceptionally difficult to deal with. And that's it. It's the communication. Right before my dad passed away, for example, not right before, about 6 months, I called him up. We were having one of the best, it was the best height of our relationship. We were really communicating and getting along. And I called him up. I said, hey, I feel I'm in so much pain right now because of my anxiety, because of my panic, because of all these things, that I would rather die. I didn't say I wanted to kill myself. I didn't say I wanted, or I was thinking about it, of killing myself. I wasn't suicidal. But I had thought, well, is it easier to not feel the pain, or is it easier to deal with the pain? And I thought, well, I'm dealing with the pain and it sucks. So I imagine not dealing with it anymore would be easier. And his response was crickets, followed by, I don't really know what to do to help you. I don't know how to help you. And for the next 6 months, he did not speak to me at all. He went out of his way to ignore me, to not involve me in things, invite me to things. He wouldn't answer calls. He wouldn't have conversations. I'd be on, FaceTime with my mom, and he'd be sitting right next to her, and he would never say anything. I'd be on the phone for like an hour. And it was very odd, and I didn't understand what was going on, but I figured, okay, well, he's back to his old habits, and let it be. And then he passed away, and that was the last experience I had with him. 6 months of radio silence. So there are a couple of things to unpack from that. I didn't know he was dealing with that. I had no concept of that, because he never spoke about it. There were a lot of signs, of course, but as a child and not being versed in what we call emotional literacy, I had no idea what I was thinking and feeling, much less how to interpret how somebody else was thinking and feeling. And so a lot of his struggle was hidden from me in a lot of ways. Whether it was intentional or not, he was unaware, so I believe, unaware in the sense that he wasn't aware of his actions or what he was doing to himself or any of that. If he was, then it probably wouldn't have happened the way it happened, his death, his passing. So I don't think it's intentional to take personal, if that makes sense. I don't think that it's a personal thing towards me. I never have. But it was unfortunate to learn that he wouldn't speak about it because he didn't know how to speak about it, because he wasn't getting help in the first place in the way that was necessary. And that's not anybody's fault, because we all are bad at speaking. We're all bad at doing communication on some level. And it happens to be that mental illness and mental health is our weakest point. And when I found that out, I started looking at everybody around me and thinking, well, what are they going through? Because if I'm going through this and he was going through that, what's my mom going through? What are both my moms going through? What are all my dads going through? What are all my siblings going through? What are my friends going through? And that was a very, very difficult thing to do at first. But it had to be done. I had to talk about it. I had to talk to people with it. And to be honest, I thought everything that I was going through was grief, because I had a very strong sense of, I don't feel bad about this. I'm not going to feel bad about it. And I am actually appreciative of the fact that my father committed to something rather than not committing to something. And with that being said, I thought, well, then what am I committing to? And the answer was, I'm committing to not only my health, but the health of others. I realized that what I thought was grief, but it was also 100 other things that I had no means of accessing. I had no means of understanding. I couldn't say I was happy because I didn't know what happy was. I thought I knew what happy was, but I wasn't ever really sure if I was ever happy. I didn't know if I was sad because I felt that way all the time. So if I was sad all the time, wouldn't I be sad? But I was happy, And there's a lot of miscommunication with yourself. And so I tried to get better at communicating with myself. And when I really started to look at my suffering, I came to the understanding that none of it was new. Not the panic attacks, not the self-loathing, not the rage, not the anxiety. At this point in my life, I'd heard about depression. I thought I might have it, so I started treating myself as depressed. But I never saw anybody. I never really thought I had it. It was one of those things where I was like, if it's not that, then what is it? It's like a default. And also, you realize that a lot of these mental situations, these illnesses, are biological. They are handed down. So either I'm modeling my parents with their behavior and that's what's messing me up, or I've inherited it. And that was something I struggled with for a long time. And it's one of the reasons it took me forever to even get to the point of being able to talk about things or experience things the way that I do now, is I thought, well, I look like my dad. I sound like my dad. Everybody in the world loves to remind me of it. And supposedly he was at the height of his experience in life, and he was doing the best he's ever done, and, all that fun stuff. And yet he still killed himself. He still died by suicide, which, by the way, that's the way we talk about it in the mental health community. Died by, not committed. It's not an act you commit because you're not aware of what you're doing. It may seem intentional, but it's not. It is died by, as in something that's beyond your control happened to you. But I saw this in myself. I spent a lot of time being physically fit. I rode my bike probably 6 miles every day. I did it in the heat, so I was, getting that sweat out. I was going to the gym for 2 hours a day, every single day. And I was starting to look even more like him. So basically, I thought, well, then I don't have a choice, right? Then I'm going to kill myself. That's my only option. I'll probably get another 10 years, but I won't make it, obviously, especially if it's inherent in my genes, and that terrified the shit out of me. But it's not the truth, and I know that for a fact now. It's not true at all. But this is the difficulty of being sick. It's the same as in the same way as an alcoholic is like, I don't need help. I can stop drinking anytime I want to. It felt like I could say that, but the reality of it was I was always going to be an alcoholic, right? Which I'm not, but that's essentially what it felt like. And let's see here. I lost my spot because I was going on something. Yet the reality of the situation is that I had most likely been dealing with depression, anxiety, compulsion, and ideation for my entire life. It's all I can ever remember for myself. And I don't really remember that much. I don't have many memories of my childhood. I dealt with a lot, and I didn't process all of it. All of my bad days or my moments of sensitivity from adolescence to adulthood were a product of my chronic anxiety attacks and circumstantial depression. Then I remembered something from about 6 months before, which was my call with my father. And I had actually begun to think, like, I'd rather die, This is horrible. It's so crippling. I have to lay on the floor of the library and risk the humiliation of that. Would I want to do that for the rest of my life? And then I started looking at things a little differently. When I realized all of that, I started looking at that and I was like, oh my God, wait, hold on a second. I don't self-harm, but I get into episodes where I become so irrational with the BPD, the borderline personality, that I actually do self-harm. I actually punch myself in the face. I'll slap myself. If I could, I'd probably take my head off, but thank God I have people around me who don't let me do that. I also used to play games of suicidal ideation where I'd be like, I wonder how that would feel if I was killed by that. I wonder what it'd be like to step in front of a car, things like that. And I realized, like, wait, I'm doing a lot of things that I said I wasn't doing. I'm doing a lot of things that I said that only these kinds of people do. I realized that the gap between me and other people and their struggles was actually a lot smaller than what it actually was. And that I had to change my definition of what I was doing so I could change my relationship to it. And then I could change my practice, how I prevent myself from doing that, how I dig myself out of this hole, how I deal with my BPD tendencies. And at that time, I had no idea what that was. I was doing a lot. I was finishing up my last semester, or my last year. No, I believe it was just my last semester. Yeah, it wasn't a whole year because it was in the summer. So my last semester, I was doing that, and I was constantly being told that by the school itself that I didn't have the skills I needed to be the person that I wanted to be, scoring movies. Alex can tell you we were both in the same studio together, and we got kicked out for not being musical enough. And then, it was a matter of finding my identity in my art. Well, now I'm not a musician, really. I'm a director and a writer, and I can't really make things. And I'm going to go to LA to do this thing, and LA is oppressive in its own right. And so this entire experience of making the movie was done under this realization and this attempted growth. And it now, tomorrow, is really the bookend of a 3-year journey through this. No. Oh, wait, Alex has a different explanation. Alex, why did we get kicked out? Hold on, I want to wait for him because I want to see what he's going to say. Hold on. Let's see. Does he say something? Is the pressure on? Now he's not going to say anything? Alex, tell me. Oh yeah, actually, I'll add on to that. It's because we didn't want to do atonal concert music, so, maybe I'm just not chaotic enough. Who knows? Robbie, yes, I'm going to spend the next 6 months writing this thing. I just want to see how it's received and how people interact with it. And then give myself time to just let that process the whole 3 years and then move forward. But yes, I'm going to try to do something with it. But yes, I had to change my definitions of things. And then I had to change my relationship to the things that I had redefined and then practice them differently. And this film was one of those things. There are many things that go into mental health and illness that I could go into right now, but I feel like it would be a little bit lengthy, and we all know how I get carried away talking. I could talk to you guys for hours. But the film was my way of starting that process. I got to move to LA and realize that the system was so oppressive that I couldn't possibly be healthy in the film or television industry in the way that it was. There are many changes happening at this moment because of the presidency, because of the virus, because of the amount of time people have had to sit and think about things that really matter. So maybe it will be different now, and I hope that this film will allow me to have that to bridge that gap so I can go back and do something different, because I have a lot of things that I've been working on. I have a script I've been working on for about three or 4 years now. It would have to be about 3 years, because it's been roughly about as long as this film. In the horror space, the cosmic horror space, I have a Western I'm trying to get funded. And they're all about mental health and how we are and our spiritualism as people. And it didn't occur to me until well after the process of editing, when I watched the final draft, when I had a chance to talk to Alex about it, when I had a chance to talk to Austin about it and Mike about it, that I realized that I really did use this as the first step towards that emotional literacy, that spiritual literacy that we're all needing right now. And I know that this conversation is kind of all over the place. I'm trying to read comments. I'm trying to keep everything in order. But yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know how much of this film is real. So when you watch it, you understand that it isn't just me going, oh, let's make a crazy movie about a crazy person. It's about real stuff. And to have that ability to work on something for so long, to see so much change, I am not a different person. I am just more of who I am now. I am over most of the trials that I have previously had to deal with. I have coping mechanisms I did not have before. I have a loving system that I did not have before. I have myself, most importantly, because of my wish to commit to my mental health and others' mental health. And this film is designed specifically to talk about that experience of mine, where popular art and the real experience of everyday life. Hold on, the tryer's going on. I thought it was more than one. No? The intersection between pop art and the everyday life and the more literary, structured area in between. How they all come together, showing you that, hopefully, that there is more to go, more to do, more to explore, more to grow and heal from. And that my struggle is not specific to me. I know that a lot of you deal with the same things, or different things. But I want you all to know that I understand, and that I'm here, and that I'm not going anywhere. And no matter what form my art takes, this will be the foremost topic explored, theme explored, and all of that work. Let's see here. There we go. There's another one. Oh, that one was vindictive. It kept going. Yes, so I would encourage everybody here to take part in not only this expression of mental health and mental illness, but to also take part in all of the other incredible things going on in the art space right now, specifically film and television. Literature, of course, is also something I'm very much invested into, but I've been watching a lot of content, and some of those are Rebecca Sugar's Steven Universe. If you guys have not seen that, go watch that shit. You will not... You don't know what problems you have to deal with, but when you watch this, you'll realize that you have many to work through, and it will heal you in ways that you were not expecting. Damon Lindelof's Watchmen and The Leftovers. Watchmen covers extensively the topics of racism, institutional, national. It goes over, the trauma that we pass down through our genes, through our children. The Leftovers is an excellent series that is probably one of the greatest things ever made, alongside, Twin Peaks and Battlestar Galactica, things of that nature. I don't want to explain The Leftovers for you. You have to watch it. That's part of the show. Okay. David Lynch's work on Twin Peaks. And if anybody has any real interest in understanding the material, there is someone on YouTube that I very much so agree with in terms of analysis. His name is Twin Perfect, for totally unrelated reasons. And he has I think it's 5-hour analysis of the third season and the entire show, explaining how the show is built around our consumption of television, the programming we receive through television, and the American zeitgeist of pleasure and pain. So if you're interested in that, watch that. Or Charlie Kaufman's The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which Jim Carrey is one of the most awake people on the planet right now, and you should go look at that. And I'm thinking of Ending Things on Netflix, which is one of the best movies on Netflix and probably one of the best movies ever made. Along with any number of TED Talks on adversity, how trauma impacts the human biological system. And one of the ones I would suggest is Dr. Nadine Burke Harris and her talk on what she calls toxic stress. She has a book called The Deepest 12, along long-term effects of childhood adversity, I think. I'm looking at it as if I can read it from all the way over here, the title of the book. But that's a very, very, very good book, very short. The first half of a person's lifelong, I guess, dive into these aspects of the human condition. And before, I'll take questions and stuff, but I wanted to once remind you guys that Adventure Time exists. Pendleton Ward also has Midnight Gospel on Netflix with Duncan Trussell, and those shows will expand your brain and also heal you in the same way that all of these other works will. And I will maybe, I don't know if there's a way for me to put the sources in the comments or something, but I'll figure it out. I did want to end with a quote, a paraphrase from J. Cole, K.O.D. Can you save this? Yeah, I can. I will save that. This insane thing that I'm saying right now. There's not really, there's a through line. I know it's scattered. I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm going to do this. This thing. So, but the quote from J. Cole is that sometimes I think pain is just a lack of understanding. If we could only understand it all, would we feel no pain? Life can bring much pain. There are many ways to deal with this pain. Choose wisely. If you want to cry, listen to KOD because that shit will hurt you in a good way. It's a very enlightening piece of music. But with that being said, thank you for being here. Yes, this, all of this. I'm doing all of it. Yeah, but this, this is enough. And I thank you guys for listening and tuning in and talking. And I know that people I gave up on the comments a long time ago. But if anybody has questions on the film, questions on what I just said, or the spirituality aspect of anything, I'd be happy to sit here and talk about it for a second. Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. That's really nice. I'll give you guys a second to think about anything. Anything to talk about. Oh, I did I'll you guys think about it, and then questions and whatnot, and then I will also add this. I meant to add an artist on my last interview with Diana and Backstagers. I said Willow and Jaden were badass. They are, and they're some of my favorite people that have ever existed. But so is Janavi Harrison. I know that she has a name, but like a longer spiritual name. I don't know those names yet, but she did a collaboration EP with Willow, and you guys should listen to it. It will fix your hearts. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna scroll back up here. Stop moving. What time will the premiere happen? Excellent question, Mike. Thank you so much. 8 p.m. Mountain Standard. So if you're in California, I am not affected by daylight savings. I refuse to be affected by daylight savings. So 8 p.m. MST, I believe California is an hour behind. So it would be... At 8, it will be 7. So at 8, it will be 9. So don't tune in an hour late. And then for all the other time zones, I have no idea what you guys are doing. I don't know why you have time zones like that, but and it will be live. So I'll be doing not a live feed like this, but I will be answering people through the chat they have. So it'll be a live premiere, and I'll be behind the curtain on that. So please be there. That would be awesome. If I could ask Stephen King one question, what would it be? Please don't sue me. I have no rights to this. I'm going off of the Baby Dollar deal, which was based in the 80s. So I have no idea, especially with something like Castle Rock, whether or not I'm allowed to do this legally, because Castle Rock is a remix of Stephen King stories. I don't know what they have rights to. So if JJ hears about this and he wants to sue me, maybe JJ can bring me on for like, I don't know, to like do something, I don't know, like a movie or something. I don't know. Or like something, I don't know. But both of you don't sue me, please. One other question, if I could, alternately not beg for my life, I would say, do you love it? Because I would want him to appreciate it as much as I do. Okay. What did I do during the pandemic? Oh, wait, something just came to mind that I didn't mention before. I'll answer that question real quick. The film, So Nobody's Taken Off Guard, is not totally complete. It will never be totally complete. If it weren't for Mike, who's been on here the entire time, he is an angel. He's God sent. And I say God sent. I would never say that. He is a blessing. How about that? Because, God's not real. But he is awesome. And without him, the film would never be anywhere near completion. So when you watch it, keep in mind that we did get hit with a pandemic. We did lose the money. We could not do a lot of things that we wished we could have done. But it is still kick-ass just the same. So I hope you guys love it. What did I do during the pandemic besides the movie? I have made it a serious practice of mine to meditate almost every single day for at least 40 minutes. I do breathing exercises in the morning. I read a lot. I read about 2 books a month. Right now, I'm churning through the Dune series, which is just fucking phenomenal and is a masterpiece. I just read Dune Messiah for the first time, and I have to say I don't understand why people think science fiction is bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. It's just as real as any fucking Fitzgerald, because that shit's boring enough. But yeah, it's excellent. I've been watching a lot of film, a lot of television. We're restarting Battlestar over here because nobody over here's seen Battlestar, and I feel horrible for them. I just finished Soul Eater, which was fucking beautiful. We have watched all of Steven Universe, all of Adventure Time, all of We Are Who We Are, which is a phenomenal masterpiece also. We've watched a number of other things. It's more about consuming things and then writing. And then that's what I've been doing outside of that is just writing. So I write a lot. I just sent 100 pages of a script out for funsies to see if anybody would be interested in it. Like I said, I've worked on a Western, so I have that going. I'm trying to find funding for that. That would be so fun. Sorry, a neo-Western. Don't bite me in the ass, please. That title of Western when the movie comes out and everybody's mad at me. Do I sing? Does it help relax me or help me deal with my anxiety? Of course I sing. I sing all the time. I sing incessantly all the time about everything, especially when music I like is on. But do I sing alternatively outside of that? No. The EP was about as much intentional singing as I do nowadays. And does it help me with my anxiety? Absolutely not. No, it's just something you do for fun. Is this my first movie project? No, I've had, my YouTube channel is just my name. There's a link to the premiere page for my YouTube premiere. You can go to that. You can see the entire YouTube. It's not just a chant. I'm working on a series right now called A through Z, or A to Z, which will actually be A through ampersand, but whatever. And they're all snapshots, meditative pieces, me, reading or doing just things I did in my life at that moment that I liked cared to capture. I also have 3 other short films from the last 2 years that are on there. If you're outside of the U.S., I would say you should be fine. I don't think YouTube has restrictions. I don't know enough about YouTube to know that. But what am I drinking? Coffee, because coffee's beautiful. I got a French press. I'm borrowing a French press, and it's so tasty. But also, we've been using coconut milk, and that shit's delicious. It will still be on YouTube. So only live. Where can we watch it after? Yes, it will still be on YouTube after that. It will always be on YouTube. It will always be free. I'm not taking any money for it. Nothing like that. I'm not monetizing it. What would I want my parents to do for my 9 to 10-year-old self? Talk to me, and if you're going to talk to me to help me, then talk to me to help me and actually help me. Don't take things so fucking personally. It's not about you. It's about me. Yes. YouTube. I'm not a parent. This is not a PTA meeting. I'm sorry. I will not. I can't answer any more about how to raise your kids. Do you like anime? Yeah. That's something that I've been getting really into, cartoons and anime again, because I'm a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan, Legend of Korra, stuff like that. But that was about as anime as I got for a long time. We just watched Paprika, which was fucking amazing and eerily familiar. I don't know why. It makes me feel like I've seen it before, and I haven't. But it's very, very good. We've seen Paprika. We saw probably all the Ghibli films. Which one was my favorite? I just had one. I don't remember which one's my favorite, but I loved it. We watched them all at once. Don't be mad at me. Do I watch Naruto? No. Naruto's a bit long for me. Bye, Alex. Hi, sis. Devin is my sister. Love on her. Michael Myers is gold. Yes, I have done it's comedy. I've done comedy, guys. I plan to do comedy for the rest of my life. At some point or another, I will get back to it. But I did a sketch where I played Michael Myers in the wild. Yes, behind the mask with Michael Myers. Do that. Did I already show the film to someone out of the project? Yes, of course. My significant other has seen it. My partner in crime has watched it. How could you say, that's mean. Somebody said Cora's trash. You're trash. I'm sorry. I know who you are. I know. I didn't mean someone. I meant you, Josh. I just didn't want to say your name. Cora is absolutely beautiful, and yes, it suffered some budgetary problems and production problems, but that doesn't mean that you should hate it. Come on, man. It's absolutely stunning. You see all of Zahir's storyline and you tell me that is garbage? Come on, dude. Come on. I will fucking fight you. We fight about it to this day about the best parts of that show. And the answer is all of them are the best parts. Do you like video games? Yeah, of course. I play Apex Legends with Alex all the time. That's like our go-to game. Right now, we've taken a break from Apex because he is crazy and he got everything in this last season. I have failed miserably to obtain anything this season. And so we're waiting until Tuesday until the new season comes out. But we also play Saints Row together, things like that. So yeah, that's great. I play video games all the time. Recently I haven't because I've been watching more things. I probably watched like 8 hours of Soul Eater in the last 10. But, you got to make time for things like that. Final Fantasy, no. I've never played Final Fantasy. But I'm an Xbox guy, so I like Halo. I like Dead Space. I like Red Dead Redemption. I like a million things. So Many Me was a really cool platforming puzzle game, a little 2D scroller that was really fun to play. Oh my god. BioShock, of course. Skyrim, of course. But yeah, I'll take like 5 more questions and I'm jumping out of here. It's cold. I need a jacket. Anime, I enjoy watching both. I love Haruki Murakami. Sorry, I always say his name wrong. It's always an A first, not a U. Love him. He's a genius. I just bought Kafka on the Shore, even though I own the audiobook, because I want to fucking touch it. And he's amazing. I love hearing about the way that he translates from English to Japanese, or has people translate, or how he writes in general. I just finished 1Q84. So that was a fucking wild ride. It's exceptionally long, but it was worth it. So I love watching... I love the Japanese culture and the language and everything. I've always been intrinsically tied to it somehow. I don't know why. It's just something that I've always been infatuated with, connected to. That Native American culture is... that's so reductive, Native American culture. But the cultures of the Native Americans of Northern America are very, very interesting to me. So when I watch anime, sometimes I'll watch with the dubs, or I'll watch native language with subs. But if I'm watching something, anime tends to be pretty visually stunning, so it's kind of hard to read and take in the symbolism and all this stuff. But yeah, I tend to take subs off on really important moments, so I can just take it in, and I just do dubs. But also, I love the idea of like Ghibli doing a lot of like what do you call them, like English actors like Dakota Fanning and people like that. Like I just think that's great. Yeah, well, I prefer me with hair too. I just don't have any, so thank you very much for making me think about that. Favorite sport? Will I work on the next Grey Days album? No, I don't know, dude. I'm not saying anything against Grey Days. I've had an exceptionally difficult time with the way that it continues because I don't understand it. I thought it was more of like a in memory of Chester thing. And it seems, I don't know, they just put out something new, right? Like a stripped or something like that. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. And that's fine. It doesn't mean that I have to be involved all the time. I love Sean. Sean's awesome. He's always been good to me. And the guys in the band are awesome. I haven't spoken to them since I worked on the record, but that doesn't mean anything. That just means that I had a good time and I loved the experience, and other things happen. Avery, holy shit. Oh my God. I wonder how long ago that was. You called me and you left a voicemail, didn't you? I'm so sorry. Man. Avery's really cool. He's somebody I've known for a long time. And he is someone that's really, really great to watch grow as a person. I went to high school with him, and he was my first friend in high school. Could you believe it? Do you prefer working on film over music? Do I prefer working on film or music? Right now, I prefer working on film. I love the idea of music and concept albums and things like that. If I ever get the chance, I will certainly make something as good as, say, like Dark Side of the Moon or Tranquility Base Hotel Casino or Igor or something like that, of course. But at this moment, the thing is that I am an ever-evolving person. I am multifaceted, as is everybody. And right now, my attention is on how to express certain things in a certain way. And I feel that film is the best way to do it, because it's also a more intimate thing, I think in terms of working on film. Music is ultimately more intimate, but working on film, the intimacy is in the process of integrating other people into your life. So whereas you go to a studio and you spend all this time with a band and doing this, album that will use vibrations to change people, that's great. I don't think I could do that at this moment. I think I could do that with film, because film is ultimately, for me, in a weird way, it's more complex yet easier to pull off. Because I like meditating on things. I like sitting in things, and I will sit in these things for a while. I mean, Mike and I, so we shot the film backwards. Mike and I edited the film to and he could tell you, he wouldn't because he wouldn't look at it that way, but I'm a little neurotic with how it's edited and how these things go, because I'm very much into the smallest degree of creativity in something, and I say that music is more intimate, but I think it's more intimate because it can be quicker, so you listen to an album, it can be an hour, it can be 44 minutes, and you heard it. You don't have to hear it, see it, feel it, interpret it. There are many more components with film, I think, that when you say you're watching something like High Life, Robert Pattinson and Mia Goth, Andre Benjamin, you watch it, and that film in particular is the most intimate film on space and the human relationship to space and the human condition I've ever seen. But you have to be able to intake so much information at once in order to get it in a first viewing. Where music, you don't really have to do that always. Even with Dark Side of the Moon, you get it. You don't really have to go too hard into that. But I like working on film. I like touching other people's lives. I like giving what I have to offer, seeing how it works with other people, and seeing whether or not they take it, or what their experiences with it or their interpretation of it is, whether they agree with it or not. So yeah, for me, film is a bit easier in that regard, and spreading change, because it is contagious. I don't speak Russian. But I can do work on music for my films. Yes. So with Alex, we actually worked very closely on concept and tone and execution for the score. Ultimately, what happened was I just said, you go do you, but I had a very specific vision and image for what I was doing, and so that was 90% Alex and 10% my just throwing thought bugs at him, and but I feel very engaged in the music process when I engage with the score on that level, because for me it's very satisfying to see the philosophy behind it, because I approach it from more philosophical. I approach it more from a philosophical standpoint musically, where Alex is more of the intuitive interface where he can feel that out and really find it. I mean, the score for the film is it's literary. It's so deep, and it has so many different faces and different musical mechanisms in it that it's like we were talking about it, and he was watching it and 2 days ago, and he was like, "Oh my God! I forgot I did things with that I did And that's true. It's very easy to forget because you're very in it when you're in it, or to not really see how much you're doing. Like I said, it took me until the final export of the film to see what of myself I had put into it. And that's just the way art works sometimes. What am I planning for 2021? This year I'm going to finish the A to Z. I have G through Z left. I have a neo-Western with my good friend now, Austin Gold, who I met through a chant. He passed me a feature that I revitalized for him, and he wants me to direct and produce as well. So I'm hoping that I can do that. I have a 400-page script that I'm working on, that I just sent the first 100 pages off for inspection by some people in the industry. Hopefully they find interest in it, and I can continue to work on it at a good pace and build interest and do all that. I also am trying to start painting more. I just did my first commission painting. At this moment, I'm working on not getting scatterbrained, or not practicing scatterbrainedness, because I will tend to get excited about something and kind of split my attention on things so that I can do those other things. But I don't need to. If I could just keep my attention, keep it on my mind, I can finish one project, go to the next. It's not to say that any of them suffer from it. It's more like it takes longer to do them because I do still give them the same amount of attention. But yeah, you're welcome. I don't speak French or Russian, no. I would love to, but I don't. But yeah, I'll give it another 10 minutes. Seems like people are waning, which is totally fine. I mean, what did I expect? I showed up at 12 and said I'd be on at 1, and I was, that's it. So, any more questions on the film or anything pertaining to me at all? Throw them out. You got 11 minutes. I'm done at 3. Yes, Deftones are sick. Of course. Who doesn't like the Deftones? Even people who don't like metal like the Deftones. The Deftones are so good. As you can tell, my thought pattern is the shirt that I'm wearing. It's all interconnected, but maybe not straight ahead. Oh, well, while you guys are, whoever's engaging still can engage. This is the commissioned painting I just finished. I'm sending out in a couple of days here. It's been snowing like crazy. But that is what I'm doing with that. Okay. Oh, well then I'll ask a question of you guys, or a favor, I suppose. People always ask me why I get rid of certain followers, and this is why. C Bennington _41. Don't. It's not your name. 1, you're not my dad, and 2, stop using my name. It's not yours. Stop using the name of everybody in my family if you're just going to use it as like a fan account. It's just weird. Just do like LP. What's wrong with LP? What's wrong with Linkin Park? Nothing. Do it. I will block you if you use my name or Shinoda's name, because those are the 2 that come up. I just don't like it. I just don't like seeing it. It feels shallow and vain to me. I don't like it. It feels like my family's being appropriated. What the fuck is that, So just use your own name and your own names, or whatever. Just don't use my name. Don't use other people's names if you're not those people. All right, 8 minutes. How did it jump up to 43? 8 minutes, any question? On the film or art or life. So somebody ask how many talents I have. How do you quantify that? Talents. I have about 10 talents if I don't cut my toenails at the right time. But talents, I guess I could tell you like what I could do. I can do anything. My YouTube account is just my name. It's just my name. I can do anything because I say I can do anything. It might take a bit to learn it, but it doesn't mean I can't do it. It's not disrespectful. It's just it's misplaced. I'm not trying to start a war here. But the name thing, it's not a matter of telling the person that they're a horrible person or anything like that. It's just like, find your own identity, dude. Also, if you go to my YouTube, which is my name, it has this similar icon to the one that's the Awesome Frisbees icon here. These comments of your voice sounds like your father's and things like that. Don't do that. That's weird. That's just like not a cool thing to do. I understand why people do it. I understand they're not trying to be cruel or anything like that. But on my YouTube, I talked to somebody about that too. Again, which was, if you're going to do that commenting thing about me, then make it about me. Don't make it about somebody it's not me. So it's not disrespectful. It's just a matter of understanding what you're doing, being aware and intentional with your words and your actions. Don't use the family name. Okay. Of course, I'm so glad to see that I was going to get off because these people you guys were dipping. The attendance rate was dipping, but it's back at 40. Do I like museums? Yeah, museums are fucking awesome. I love museums. I love documenting things. I love seeing the things and the progression of things over time. I love seeing how different cultures are from other cultures, but also how very similar they can be. I've been to Paris. I don't know if I've been to the Louvre, honestly. That's how you say that, right? It's not Louvre. I know it's not that. But I love museums. I will say one of the dumbest museums I've ever been to, not because of its content, but because of its oppressive control over the viewing, the viewership of the people there, is the Getty Museum. I went there in LA. It was like the most oppressive thing ever. You were incited to or encouraged to buy drinks like coffee or water, and then you weren't allowed to go anywhere until you finished them, or you weren't allowed to look at things. It was very weird. I didn't like it. It was not fun for me. What do I do when I feel bad? And or for feeling better? What do I do when I'm feeling bad to feel better? I meditate. A big thing for me is communication. I like talking to people, the people I have problems with especially. But also seeing change. So I always want to, practice what I preach. And so I take that moment to shut the hell up when I'm going through an episode and do a mental and emotional and physical inventory to see whether or not I actually know how I'm feeling or mean how I'm feeling or mean what I'm saying. It's not always what works, but not, when you're dealing with something like a BPD or anything, really, bipolar, anything like that, it's really hard to do it 100% of the time. Let's see. So when I need to feel better, I actually start the work before I feel bad. So like I said, I try to meditate almost every single day. Whether that's actually sitting down and meditating or being aware of my breath all day, like the sensation of breathing. Oh my God, I'm just getting all these burps. Hold on a second. Whether it's doing that, literal sitting down, Om meditation, eyes closed, crossed legs, laying down, lighting a candle or an incense or something. Or I, and just focused on my breathing all day and seeing how aware I can be of my actual state of existence at all times. It doesn't matter as long as I do it all day, every day. It's really fucking hard to do that. And it's okay if it's hard, But I found that the more you work before, the more the more effective your coping mechanisms are during, and the quicker you bounce back from something. So the more time you spend preparing to be upset, preparing for that moment when your emotions go outside of your control, the easier of a time you'll have in the moment that you have those bad feelings, in the moment you have that behavioral issue, and then the quicker you'll be able to bounce back afterwards. Okay, so forever is our today, the one who said the comment about my voice. I understand that I sound like my dad. I'm not trying to dunk on anybody. I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, no, fuck you or anything like that. I just want to make it aware, it's not personal. You didn't hurt me. You're good. I appreciate the comment. People are getting kicked off. I've not been to Australia. I would love to go to Australia. Not the Netherlands. Not World of Warcraft. Yes. Mindfulness is so important. Regulation is a different conversation. Regulation is not necessarily all it's cracked out to be, but yes, mindfulness is 100% awesome. Let's see. I would say my biggest talent is always consistently doing the same thing. Like if I say I'm going to do something, doing it, no matter how hard it is, or sticking to something, committing to something. That's my favorite talent, but I don't believe in talent. So I believe in talent about as much as I believe in God. So, which is to say not very much. I think that everything is a skill that you can learn and everybody can do anything. So, does my necklace have some kind of Reiki meaning? Is it meeting? Is it having a Reiki meeting? No, this is Aventurite, something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but it's for like imagination and healthy energies and stuff, which is like super reductive. It makes it sound new agey, but I've been doing research on geology. That was one thing I did during the pandemic as well, as I started learning about a bunch of things. About a bunch of things, and one of those was how energy is trapped into crystals and crystalline systems, and how we can use that. And of course, most of our technology is based off crystals, and then we all get laughed at for saying that they have magical powers. So Apple can go fuck itself. But no Reiki meaning on purpose. It's more like, it feels nice. It looks nice. I made this wire catch myself because I'm that talented. My favorite sport is not anything in particular. I like many things. Kind of like a healing crystal. It's more like a neutralizing crystal. It's more like a positive vibes only. I have not been to Star Wars Land yet because before I could get there, the entire world got sick and I can't go. So, another one about sports. I probably like hiking. I think I like hiking a lot. I like hiking because you can put yourself into a larger context. You get to see how small you are, and you get to see how impactful being small is. From Greece, that's so cool. Awesome Frisbees. Where'd that name come from? Awesome Frisbees. I'm a troll. That's where that name came from. I thought social media was like the dumbest fucking idea ever when I first started. And so I would take pictures of my feet and post them on Instagram being super vain and things like that. And it was funny. And now it's not funny because I use it as an actual platform for things. But Awesome Frisbees was tied to a person that I knew in middle school who I thought was a total tool. And now it's ironic. So, but also I'm a free-flowing individual. I love surrealism and postmodernism as a way of thinking. So Awesome Frisbees is fine. I mean, I loved Legion, so FX is Legion. So if that's not a clear indicator that I'm total fucking chaos, then I don't know. But you guys keep asking sports, so I guess hiking is fine. Hiking is a sport. It's something you have to train for. It's something that trains you. It's something that expands you and your existence and your mind and your mindfulness. I saw a question on here about favorite meditation program. I tried a lot of things. I tried some yoga. I tried some... I think I started with Headspace. They kind of got me on the right track with paying attention to things and like being consistent. But ultimately, I'm not a visual person inside, so my memory is not the kind of like movie consistency memory that some people have. It's like snapshots of things, and so a lot of their stuff is visual, and it's difficult for me to be visual. So I stopped doing that. And basically, my practice is that I always here's how a meditation session with me goes. I sit down, I take an inventory of my senses, my outer awareness, my inner awareness. I believe going in and then going out is the right way to go about things, not going out and then in. And so I will sit, I will take inventory of my physical body, my emotional body, identify where, any aches and pains are or any emotional tensions are. And then I will state my intention. And then I will have a communication with myself. And by myself, I mean it in Jungian terms. I mean myself as in the components of my body and my mind integrated together. And I have fascinating meditations in that sense. So I have a dialogue, and then I have a free flow, free structure time where I let my mind process on its own. I kind of use it as a machine, so I gather all the things I want to think about and the questions I need answered, and then let that calculate itself, and then I'll come out. And with my breathing exercises, I typically practice the shallow breathing, deep breathing, and then rapid shallow breathing, followed by a number of stretches and physical fitness kinds of things, like kind of yoga based. Let's see. My biggest dream. My biggest dream is to just be able to be happy and not be criticized by anybody for doing it, because that's kind of the world we live in. To be able to create and love and grow and teach freely. That's my biggest dream. My dream is world unification and open consciousness. You don't need medication, you need meditation. See? They sound similar. I understand why you get confused. Oh, you changed it. Okay. I like both. Of course, how could you not like both the beach and the mountains? It's all the same. Do I listen to music or sounds when I meditate? No, I actually have I have earplugs in, so I don't have to hear anybody. Because I get very interested in sounds outside. I get interested in cars passing, or the wind blowing the wrong way, or the thumping of subwoofers and across the street, things like that. So I don't intentionally listen to anything but my own brain. which is why I also have days of just being aware of my breath, because I realize how much I don't breathe, and I need to be aware of it. So I have days where I just breathe. Yes, Mike said it best. Amen. Be the aware wolf. He's fucking right. He's fucking right. You got to be the aware wolf. But awareness is a very difficult topic to talk about. It's also a very difficult practice to uphold. It's very hard. I think finding music, so the key to awareness and the key to being able to sustain yourself through silence and things like that is first understanding that the things that bother you in silence are not things that are bad for you. They're things that your body is naturally oh my God, I guess I could just talk about it. There are two things. You're either body forward, which means you're emotional and reactive, or you're intellectually forward, which means that you're non-emotional, non-reactive to an extreme. And these are two extremes. Your body and your intellect are two things that are completely intertwined and yet separate. So your body has its own needs, its own emotions, its own interface with your emotions. Whereas the intellect has its own needs, its own, practice, its own interface with your emotions as well. And your emotions kind of happen in this gray space where the Venn diagram meets, where the two circles overlap. And so the first thing is to realize is that your body has a lot more control over you than you think it does. And I talked about this with Diana in Backstagers. You have to be aware of the fact that your awareness stems from external stimuli and the interpretation of your body of that stimuli, and that your emotions really aren't anything other than that. And once you realize that every single one of your emotions is the same emotion, one emotion, you have to understand that your interpretations to that emotion are totally up to you, and that you're responsible for yourself. You are responsible for your own happiness. You're responsible for your own balance, your own interpretation, all these things. Meditation helps with that because you get the chance to sit down and work this out with yourself. But if you aren't used to meditation and you aren't used to understanding these things and you aren't used to thinking about things a certain way, and you haven't changed your definitions and you haven't changed your relationship and you haven't changed your practice, the first thing you have to do is you have to think intentionally about the things that you intentionally let into your life, you unintentionally let into your life. The words that you say, are they intentional? Do they have meaning? Do they not? Your actions are the same. I think everybody will realize, and this isn't a dunk on anybody, but we do a lot of things without intention. It may feel like intention, but when we really get down to it, it's intention that we lack. And the first thing to do is to take out the things, cut the fat that sustain your unawareness. So, if you're listening to music, for example, why are you listening to that music? Because it's a sound? Well, what's behind that music? Who made that music and why? Which is why Willow and Jaden are so awesome. Janavi, why Tyler, the creator, is so awesome. Why Cal Uchis is so cool. It's because they are intentional about their music, right? You hear something like Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and you think, wow, this is true. This is a true thing. They're talking about real things. But they're being honest about it, and they're being aware of it. And I think actually their career is probably really interesting if you look at it in terms of cycles of falling asleep and being unaware and waking up and being aware, especially with Roger Waters and Sid Barrett. But, you have to think about like the things you eat. When you eat, you're consuming it for nutrition so you can grow. When you listen, you are listening so you can consume the knowledge, consume the sound, consume the energy embedded into that vibration that you're hearing. And that feeds you. So are you just eating hot Cheetos all day, every day, and some nacho cheese, and you're not thinking about the nutritional value of that and not seeing how it ultimately affects you over the long run? Or are you seeing that they are totally fine as a snack, but only as a snack? They're not a nutritional meal. And then you think about that, you're like, okay, well, what am I doing, right? So like, who am I listening to? Who am I reading? What am I doing? One of the things I saw earlier was, what's your favorite book? I have a couple of favorite books, and they all stem from spiritual people. Whether they acknowledge that outwardly or not, it doesn't matter. My favorite books, again, are Haruki books. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, 1Q84, Kafka on the Shore. Phenomenal books on spirituality. He knows the secrets to the universe, and he's been telling people forever. And in 1Q84, he repeatedly says, this is not a fantasy book. This is not a fantasy book. People think it's just a fantasy book, and they're not hearing any truths, but they're hearing all of the truths, and they're acting like it's just a fantasy book. Same thing with Dune. Frank Herbert knew exactly what the fuck he was talking about. If you go read the first two books, Paul's story is exactly the struggle of humanity. And, there's a funny part of the criticism for the second book, which is Dune Messiah, where they say, well, it's too complicated. There's too much subterfuge. There's too many plots. But they're not looking at it from a metaphorical and spiritual and philosophical standpoint, And that's not Frank's fault. Frank says it straight out, and that's actually a good example. People could read Dune all the time, and they just go, well, okay, this is a cool story. It's like Star Wars. No, it's not. Not at all. It's about species supremacy and racial bias and the poisonous nature of controlling and oppressive thought. It's about the planet. It's about the living things and every living thing, and how they all coincide and how they all should be meshing together. And Paul Atreides even falls into some of the cycles of unawareness that we all fall into, including Dune Messiah, which is the second book. He falls in and out of awareness on a constant basis, and he's constantly aware that he's unaware. It doesn't make him aware because he's unaware. He still is unaware, even though he's aware of being unaware. And that's the difficulty of maintaining awakeness and maintaining awareness. So the Dune books, any Maruki, I said both of his names are the same. Haruki, Murakami. He's saying it wrong. I always say it wrong. Anything by, what's the other one I'm reading right now? Stephen King. I'm waiting for his next one. That's coming out in March. But, he's highly spiritual. He just talks about it in terms of like clown monsters and shit. Like, I don't know. But it does matter what you put in your body. And it doesn't matter whether you're eating it physically or mentally. It doesn't matter. So that's the answer to that question. Can you read about it? Of course you can. If you want to read about all the shit I just said, go and read Dune and Dune Messiah. If you want to read about it, go read David Lynch's semi-autobiographical book called Room for Dreams or something like that. I forget what it's called exactly. I'm trying to look. I have it. These people are doing it. David Lynch has been doing it for decades, for his entire career. He's not crazy. Just listen to him. Mental float tank. Oh, like a sensory deprivation tank. No, but when I meditate, I wear headphones for the same, or earplugs for the same purpose. So, okay. This time for real, 5 minutes. It seems like it's pretty level. There are the same amount of people here. Yes, I do have plans on writing a novel one day, but that will be after my film projects, or maybe in between. I don't know. But I'll take questions for 5 more minutes. So throw them out, and then after those questions are out, I won't answer any more questions, okay? It's cold over here. surprised that I've actually maintained 30 people for this long. I don't know, but can I see how, like, if I tap that? Oh, I can. I know 2 of them. 2 of them. Can somebody else say something besides J. Herbert? Is it like nighttime in Germany? Is that the deal? When I want to do another live session, I don't know. I didn't even think about this. I got up today and it was, how am I back up? 35. I didn't think about this at all, which is why it's so scattered. But I just decided to do it. Live, I'll probably go live after the film is shown. So I'll be on that chat with the YouTube premiere the entire time. I'll be answering questions the entire time, or just responding to people in general. And then afterwards, I could probably jump on here if that's somebody's wish. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see the response to the chat and then see if there is anything left to talk about, or if whether I should give it a few days to let people. We'll see what the need is. Let's see. Somebody said something. I'm doing great. The pandemic is one of the best things that's ever happened to me, guys. It should be the best thing that's ever happened to you. I know that people are dying. I'm not discounting that or saying you shouldn't feel that is serious. It is serious. It's absolutely serious. We shouldn't even be in this fucking situation still. At least in the United States, we've had a fucking run of it. This country has dealt with a pandemic in such foolhardy ways. Fucking idiots. But we're over that, right? Trump is out, even though he set up a presidential office, because I guess somehow stupidity... I mean, I don't know why I thought stupidity would evade him. Or I guess leave his being once, he stopped being president. But he is a nuisance and a cancer, and it doesn't make any sense why we're still having the problems we're having, because we wouldn't have to have them if people were being... So, if people would be smarter and be willing to take action, I mean, we did just have an insurrection in the fucking Capitol, so maybe I'm not even speaking about the right thing. But the pandemic overall has been incredibly enlightening. I mean, there are many people who would agree that having to take the time to really think about the way things work and really think about who's making them work and who's running the show, it's been positive. It has been positive. February is going to be a year of COVID? A year of fucking COVID? And I think that I have become the person that I was always supposed to be, because I was finally given the chance to take a fucking breather and sit there and develop practices that kept me safe, that kept me smart, that kept me awake. And develop those with people that I care about. So as devastating as this pandemic is, if you didn't take the time to grow and learn and reevaluate during this entire endeavor, then I would say that you didn't utilize it correctly. Even in death, there are lessons. I would be one to speak. We all know what happened in my life. And would you believe I have no ill will towards it? What are you most excited for to people see in the movie? I'm excited for people to see it in general because I have been waiting so goddamn long. I mean, Mike will tell you, I have literally freaked out multiple times. I've had meltdowns multiple times over the way that this whole thing has gone down. And but you know what? I've learned immense lessons on how to deal with people in this industry, on what to expect, how to deal with those things. And what not to do. I've learned what not to do. Every difficulty is a tool for learning. I'm excited for you to see the hard effort that everybody put in. The just stick-to-itiveness, the fucking embodiment of all the things that I've been working on for 3 years for myself. They have paid off in incredible ways. For as much tragedy there and difficulty there was involved in the production, there are so many people there who made infinitely positive and constructive connections with me and I with them. And I'm excited for everybody to see that, the culmination of that. Did I say I was going to release an EP with my sister's voice on it? No. What? Specifically with my sister's voice? I mean, I said my sister's on here. Devin Brand is on here. Watching, maybe still, I'm not sure. I am the guy who can't leave an Instagram live because I love talking. I get yelled at all the time for this. All the time. My partner's over there laughing at me in the kitchen. Like, as I say that. Hi, Emily. Yes. A part of being open-minded and consciously aware is being respectful to each other and having the time for each other and being, considerate, which I just said the same thing 5 times, but there's Diana there. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for liking my t-shirt. Where's I saw Marisa here somewhere. Did I see Marisa here, or was that a trick of my eye? I can't find it. Yes, it is Marisa. Marisa, everybody, is the set designer for A Chant. So everybody say hi to her because she's fucking ridiculously awesome. And you guys just don't know. A Chant is not the only thing we worked on. And are working on. Will be working on. So, super awesome. You're fine, Jay. Everything's cool. I just wanted to put it out there. Okay. I think I'm done. See, the thing is, I think this is my problem, and this is probably why I love Soul Eater so much, is that I have a problem with odd numbers. It's 3:25. I need it to be 3:30 so I can get off. I can't end in any odd numbers of the time. It just I can do it. It won't kill me. It just bothers me. I always want it to be even. I always eat things that have many numbers in them in 2s. So like any kind of candy or in even numbers. Curry's delicious. You guys should eat some more curry. I don't count my curry bites, no. But that's an answer to the what is your favorite food. Okay, Pretty Skull determined it. We're going to be done at 3:33. I will break this OCD of mine. Yes. Curry is good with everything because it's made up of everything. Coconut milk, anything coconut is an excellent substitute for anything ever. Just fucking substitute it. It doesn't matter. There's flour, there's milk, there's fucking flakes, there's sugar. It doesn't matter. Coconut's cool. Three. 3. Spaghetti bolognese is very good. It's probably good that you're leaving because I have been on here very long. Lobster is really good. Yeah, everybody just spam it with your favorite food. That's a great way to end this. Just spam the fucking comments with your favorite foods. And then if you already did, spam it with your second favorite food. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not super kidding. I am interested. There are a lot of people here from different places, so that's very cool. Sushi. Okay. We're going to change this. Be as specific about your favorite food as possible. Say exactly what it is. If it's sushi, say what kind of sushi it is. If it's pasta, say what kind of pasta it is. You know? Rhode Island is your favorite food? Fuck yeah. I've never eaten an island before. Dragon sushi. What the fuck is a dragon sushi? Okay, yeah, I agree with Mike. Okay, everybody shut up. Let's do our least favorite foods. Do your least favorite foods, and if you don't have one, then make up a least favorite food. Like, just make up a food that sounds horrible. Ooh. I can hear it. Willow's over there just singing in the corner. I don't feel like a lot of these things are bad foods. Can somebody give me their least favorite food? Liver and onions is awesome. I've never had liver. I used to watch the guy in Dukes of Hazzard eat it and thought that was the grossest shit you could possibly do to yourself. You guys have 4 minutes to just blast this thing with food. Okay, I'll make up my own. How about there's a chocolate cake on the top of the fridge. If I took the chocolate cake and just dumped Fred's hot sauce on it, and then just like barely sauteed some onions, and like maybe I put some like half-cooked lentils on it, and then I just take a big old bite, I would do that. That would be my least favorite food. Actually, I probably would end up liking it. Over here, we're quite adept at taking things that don't seem very good and making them into really delicious things. And by me, I mean mostly Bella. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I would actually claim I have no style, but I appreciate that. You don't see me most days. I wear the same thing over and over again. That sounds good, though. Did you know mayo is actually used in, like, pastries? I didn't know that. But I found that out, and I thought that was horrible. And then I realized that I can't possibly think that's horrible since I eat pastries. You know what I'm saying? So maybe mayo and sugar is not a bad idea. Brussels sprouts sounds awesome. Actually, I have Brussels sprouts in the fridge. I'm going to make them tonight. I just realized that. Thank you very much, Emily, for that. Feet cheese. Whoa, we're going into a whole different territory. I said food, not kinks. I guess kinks are food for the soul, right? Maybe that's how that works. Ow. My shoulder's been stupid. My favorite movie? Right now, at this moment, it's High Life. Because I can't get it out of my stupid head. And every time I talk about movies, I think High Life. But I'm also really interested right now in French-English movies, like French-American movies. Like, We Are Who We Are is very interesting to me. I guess that's Italian. But, like, I think High Life is the director's French. It's the first English-speaking film. It's phenomenal. Go watch it. My favorite kink. Oh, you trying to get me? I'm not telling you my favorite kink. Yes, vegan burgers are good. Substitutes are awesome. There are bean patties, Impossible, Beyond Meat. Some of them look weird, but they're really good. There's nothing wrong. I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat meat anymore. I haven't for a long while. Which for me is probably like 6 months, but actually feels like 10 years. But I will save this stream, of course. I'll put it back up. I would sit here all day. I don't care. But we have 1 minute, so. And I have nothing against meat-eating people, by the way. It's not a matter of making it personal. It's just I don't eat meat. I feel like I can't practice my practices and eat meat. Yes, I have. My stomach doesn't feel as weird all the time. I feel like I have more energy. I feel like I sleep better. But also, a lot of things have changed since then. I don't know if it's strictly not eating meat. I don't know. I know that my mind has changed, but I think it's more of like, because of my meditative practice and because of my spiritual practices, I don't see the value in eating meat unless I have to. It's not that I don't like it. I love meat. It's not that I hate people who do. It's not anything like that. Okay, guys, I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. See, my phone said so. It hit 20%. It yelled at me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Thank you for having this wonderful conversation with me. And I can't wait for you to see the movie tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm really, really happy about that. All right. Goodbye. How do you X out of this? It's probably right there. Yeah.